Jim, do you know that feeling when you're just living your life and suddenly you start to feel a painful lump under your skin?
Do I ever?
And you know what's going to happen next?
Mm-hmm.
A pimple.
Yes. I know that feeling very, very well. That feeling and I are very well acquainted.
And what do you usually reach for when you know that a pimple's coming?
If depending on where it is and how significant it seems going to be, I have some, I think, just like off-brand, Target brand benzoyl peroxide stuff.
Ooh, me too. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
The stuff we talked about. But that's all. My tools are very simple, and I have not changed them or updated them in a long time.
Yeah.
It's not occurred to me that there may be other things or better things. And even until we did that episode about benzoyl peroxide, I hadn't even thought about how that worked.
Yeah.
So that's it. Well,
the teens these days are really into what we call pimple patches.
Right.
Have you seen these?
You asked me that at one time, and I hadn't. And then now, since then, I've seen it once.
Okay, because I asked you, maybe you're noticing.
Yep. I noticed it in a video.
Was it a colorful one or a clear one?
It was like a color. I think it was like a bluish. Mm-hmm. It was like in the shape, right?
Uh-huh.
Their shapes now.
Stars and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
That's what it was. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, which I love. They're like, hey, we all get pimples. Let's just make it cool and cute, you know?
Uh-huh.
And I did look after that. I was like, am I the only one who's experiencing this? So I went, and on Reddit, there's like a teacher who was like, did y'all notice that all these students are wearing this and it's like a fashion trend now? Mm-hmm. So these pimple patches, I noticed students wearing them, but I don't really struggle with pimples. So it didn't really very often in my day-to-day life, benzoyl peroxide can usually take care of it. Mm-hmm. I feel like I'm in the golden age before like menopause acne starts, and after teenage acne is over. I've got a few good years here in the middle where I don't have a ton of acne happening right now. So that's not something I thought about very often, but something came up that made me need like that kind of Band-Aid. It's not a pimple patch, but a similar technology. And I was like, how does this work?
Yeah.
And it's the same technology. And so we're going to talk about that today.
Nice. Okay, cool.
You ready to dive in?
Let's do it.
Hey, I'm Melissa.
I'm Jam.
And I'm a chemist.
And I'm not.
And welcome to Chemistry for Your Life.
The podcast helps you understand the chemistry of your everyday life.
Okay, so before we start on this episode, I want to give a shout out to Justine, our newest community member.
Nice.
Hey, what up? I think she's a dispersionary.
Nice.
So it's great to have you as part of the crew, Justine. And so this episode is for you. Not that you need pimple patches or anything.
Yeah, this is the funny thing about depending on when someone joins our community and what the next episode ends up being that we record.
Yeah.
But this episode is dedicated to you, whether you find it especially interesting or not. But hey, we all have some version of this, and we all want to know how it works, right?
Yeah.
But we're glad to have you as part of the community. You help keep the show going. You help keep it free for everybody else. Mm-hmm. You've hopefully already started looking into some of the ways we want to say thank you for doing that. The bonus episode every month, ad-free feed of the show, that kind of stuff. We're glad to have you part of the community.
For sure. All right. So, I don't know, Justine, it's about to get worse because now I'm going to talk about something else that's not fun. Jam knows this already, but we haven't talked about. Recently, I was diagnosed with shingles, which is the worst. So my generation, did you get the vaccine? Do you remember? Okay. So literally in the years between when I was born and when Jam was born, that's when people started to more often get the chickenpox vaccine.
And I think I might have gotten it later. Like, I think we talked about this a little bit, but my parents are both in the medical community.
Yeah.
And so I think it was maybe more close to when my younger brother was born that it was like started being like in the
everyone.
Yeah, everyone in the earlier stages or whatever. But for me, I'm not really sure exactly, but I know that once it was available, they would have gone ahead and done that.
Yeah.
So,
Yes, for sure. Well, my parents did at the time, the best thing they knew is like, if you get it younger, it's better for you.
Yeah.
It gets worse the older you are. So they took me to my cousin's house who had chicken pox, you know. We had a hangout, and then I got chicken pox.
Yeah.
Great. Great. Awesome. Well, that virus stays in your body and just lies dormant until you're stressed out. Or something else happens where your immune system has like kind of forgotten about it. It's been a really long time and you're kind of like immune suppressed. So your immune system's not functioning optimally. And then it's like, hello, remember me? You don't remember me? That means I can get at you. So it's basically like a weird version of grown-up chicken pox. And you get these like little blisters and you need to keep them covered all the time because the virus can spread through those blisters, which is actually really low risk because most people have already had chicken pox or the chicken pox vaccine.
Right.
You know?
Yep.
But I was reading on Reddit, like, oh, how are people doing this? And this is the second time I think I've mentioned Reddit in this episode. So I do spend a lot of time on it. So somebody said you can get hydrocolloid bandages and those help because they seal off the thing completely. So you're not, you know, spreading the virus to other people. And also then you can kind of itch them without actually damaging your skin. But they help for other reasons too. So I went and I was getting my antiviral medication and I was waiting for it to be ready. And I was like, oh, somebody said something about hydrocolloid bandages. So I went to the bandage aisle and I was like looking at all these things. And somewhere in the back of my mind, I remembered a TikTok or something where a dermatologist had said like pimple patches and these hydrocolloid bandages are the same thing. And so there in the aisle, I was like, what are these? What am I about to put on my body? And so then I got excited about the chemistry behind it, and that is what inspired this whole episode.
Awesome. Interesting.
And they really did kind of save my life through, not really my life, but definitely my vanity. If you look back in some of the last few episodes, you can see there's like a little Band-Aid on my forehead because I got it on my forehead. And so I could interact with people without worrying about infecting them. And I didn't have to be like, people weren't like, what's that thing on your forehead?
Yeah.
Which is not a fun thing to, you know, have happen to you. And hey, then also they inspired me to learn something new. So that's really fun.
That is very fun. There's a slight silver lining. I'm sorry that happened though. That's a bummer.
Thanks. I appreciate it.
Not cool.
It is not cool, but I did get a pretty mild case. But I've heard, because actually your wife was like, what's that thing on your forehead? Actually, I was like, what's this thing on my forehead? And she was like, you need to go to the doctor. And if you get on antivirus earlier, it helps. So
Nice.
So hydrocolloid bandages and pimple patches, like I mentioned, these are the same technology. And the chemistry works in ways that we've actually talked about before. So there's no new lessons, but they might be lessons that you've forgotten.
Okay.
And it's kind of a new application. So I think it's worth it to have a revisit.
Okay, cool. And just make sure I'm tracking. You're saying Hydrocolloid, like the drink, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
It's when you mix the Kool-Aid powder with the water, you get Hydrocolloid bandages.
Nice. Cool. That's what I thought. Makes sense because Kool-Aid, obviously, you know, well-known elixir properties for ailments.
Yeah, for like sadness.
Yeah.
And like the Kool-Aid man busting through the wall. So like for solid walls also.
Yeah.
Okay, so
bust up that acne with the Kool-Aid.
I'm actually glad you asked about the that got me. Okay. I'm glad you asked about that word because hydrocolloid literally just means a polymeric, or which means a polymer material that absorbs water to form a gel.
Okay.
So these are actually, I thought this was super interesting. I'd only heard of them thinking about these bandages, but actually hydrocolloids are used a lot in food, and not only are they used in food, they naturally occur in food. So like the gelatin that we use to make Jell-O, and we've done an episode on jams and jellies. We talked about pectin. Pectin is essentially a hydrocolloid that's naturally occurring.
Okay.
So they're anything that is a polymer that can absorb water and make a gel.
Okay.
So pectin technically is a hydrocolloid.
Okay.
And for our return listeners, you definitely know what a polymer is. You're like, you don't have to say it. You've said it over and over. But this might be somebody's first episode. So for those people, breaking down the definition of hydrocolloid being a polymer that absorbs water to make a gel, how do we define polymers, Jam?
A polymer is a small a large molecule made up of a bunch of small molecules, just molecules, repeating units, basically, like the necklace analogy, which is I feel like that is the go-to one in my head now. Just a bunch of beads, all one necklace, but a bunch of the same bead over and over
to make a bigger thing overall.
Yeah,
for sure. So yeah, that's exactly what it is. And typically hydrocolloids are going to be a few different of those polymers. So instead of it just being like, we have one pearl necklace, we're making a big mix together of like a pearl necklace and a regular beaded necklace and maybe like a metal chain or something. So there's different types of necklaces with those repeating units that are going to be mixed in here, but they have some key properties we'll talk about.
Okay.
But the outermost layer of a hydrocolloid bandage specifically is a polymer that is 100% occlusive. Do you remember what that means, occlusive?
Occlusive means it does not let moisture through at all. So like in the case of, we talked about not that long ago, it's going to keep moisture inside of our skin.
Exactly.
The layers of our skin, where it wasn't going to be lost to like evaporation and stuff.
So the majority of hydrocolloid band-aids, there's some that are like dressings. So they're hydrocolloid dressings that do allow some permeation. But most hydrocolloid bandage, like that you can buy off the shelf, and I think also for those pimple patches, are 100% occlusive polymer layer on the outside. And that's not the one that's forming a gel. That's just a barrier to protect the wound or pimple, whatever you're covering, from anything new getting in and from too much water or moisture escaping.
Okay.
So that's our first thing, is we have this outer layer of 100% occlusive, water is staying out and staying in. And then under it, there's a sticky, this is what I literally wrote. I was in a good mood, I guess, when I wrote this. A sticky polymer wonderland. So if you can imagine like zooming in to the layer, zooming into the level of a polymer. So imagine you're a tiny person and you're like smaller than the Band-Aid and you can walk around at this molecular level. One of my friends actually did a really good analogy. Shout out. She listens, Katie. Hey, how are you doing, Katie? I was telling her about this episode today, and she used the analogy of a knit blanket. So maybe instead of a bunch of different necklaces, a knit blanket, which it kind of breaks down a little because you don't have the repeating units. But I do think it's helpful to think of this knit blanket because you can have different colors and types of thread that all get sort of woven together to make this new thing.
Yep.
And that's a lot like what a hydrocolloid is we have these individual polymers and they're different polymer chains, but they all come together and make these, they start binding to one another. So there starts to be links between two different types of polymers that we've talked about before called cross links.
Right.
We talked about that a lot on the galvanized rubber episode.
Oh, yeah.
Or
vulcanized?
Yeah, that's what it's called. Vulcanized, yeah.
Yeah.
Sorry, galvanized is steel.
Yeah.
Vulcanized rubber, and we talked about it also on the like eggs episode.
Okay, yes.
The analogy was like a bunch of wires and you pull them out and they've all like tied themselves together.
Yeah.
It's similar to that. There's all these polymers that are different. There's a mixture of proteins and sugars and other substances. And they're mixed all together. Some of them that you've probably heard before. So gelatin and pectin are sometimes used in that mixture to make hydrocolloid bandages.
Okay.
And there's two key properties that we're looking for in these polymers. And one is the ability to cross-link, like I said, or mesh together with other polymers, form bonds, sort of cross polymers, so that they're like stuck together in one big mass, like a knit blanket. It's not all these different pieces of yarn. They come together. They're one piece of yarn, or they're one big blanket. But two, they're going to have really polar groups on them.
Okay.
So they're going to have groups like alcohol, which is an oxygen bonded to a hydrogen, or even they might have some negatively charged oxygens that are like actually fully ions, where it's like total negative going on. Why do you think that matters, that they have those? Can you think of why? And for people at home, this is a good opportunity. If you are someone who's followed along with a lot of our episodes, you might be able to get to this too. So I want you to pause and reflect and see if you can think about why might it matter that our polymers have a lot of really polar groups on them.
Okay. Do you want me to pause for people to think or keep going?
I think they can pause it. And I will say, if this is your first episode and you're like, I don't even know what polar groups mean.
Right.
I'll do a quick review of that, which is a lot of times when we think of bonds between two atoms, it's two electrons. And if they're perfectly evenly shared, like a game of tug of war, it's like if Jam is one atom and I'm another atom, and if we had two like electrons here between us on a string, maybe, if we were pulling exactly the same amount, those would be evenly shared between us.
Mm-hmm.
But a lot of times one atom will be better than another at pulling, especially like oxygen versus hydrogen. Oxygen's really good at pulling. So it's going to be able to like, it's like if it was Jam and a little kid were playing tug of war, and said Jam's going to be able to pull way more than the little kid is. So hopefully you wouldn't, just yank stuff out of your kid's hands, but
of course not.
But that's kind of what we can start to imagine happening between like oxygen and hydrogen when they're bonded together. So then we get what we call a polar bond, where those electrons are not equally shared, and one of the atoms ends up losing some of its electrons. Basically, it starts to become more positive than you would normally expect it to be, and the other starts to have too many electrons, so it starts to be a little bit more negative than you would usually expect it to be. So it's not perfectly evenly shared, so we call those polar bonds. So there's polar groups that are going to be on our polymers. So why do you think that might matter?
First of all, I'll say too, I don't take things from kids, but I witness an older kid take things from a younger kid in my home all the time. So
yeah,
I've watched a polarity of sorts play out. So what you said is within this polymer, this combination of various different things, there are polar groups as part of the polymer.
Part of the polymer, yep. So we have lots of different polymers, but the key features are they're able to cross-link with each other, and they have polar groups all over them.
Okay, so we know that water is polar.
Mm-hmm.
So basically it seems like the recurring theme with a lot of polar and non-polar stuff is that anything that's going to need to interact with water for the sake of it working and doing its thing, it needs to have polarity of its own. Even if it itself is not water, it needs to be able to work with water. And so I'm guessing that's it.
Yep, that's it.
I was
I
don't think you said anything else that would clue me in further.
No,
yet.
you got it. That's great.
All
Is
right.
basically these hydrocolloids are interacting with water, right? We know they interact with water to form a gel. What's happening at the molecular level is those polar groups are good at interacting with water because water is also polar. So the negative of one side lines up with the positive of another molecule. So the hydrogen that's positive will line up with the oxygen that's negative, and they'll start to be attracted to each other almost like magnets. They'll like start to pull towards one another. Those opposite charges will attract each other. And once you've pulled them in, the water molecules will get almost trapped in this big cross-link mesh situation that we have going on with a polymer. And so sorry, that's my medicine alarm. Now you guys know why I have that is because I had those antivirals. But
oh, nice.
Sorry, but I actually took my last dose today, so hopefully I'm home free.
Nice.
So sorry about that alarm.
It's okay. It was a nice sound. It wasn't like a.
Yeah. I try to make a pleasant alarm.
Yeah. That's good.
I don't wake up to that, so that probably helps. I have an old school alarm clock, and I can't recommend that enough.
Nice.
Then you don't have to look at your phone as soon as you wake up. So, just to reorient myself. So we have these big cross-linked 3D mesh crazy structure. I tried to think of something like this in our everyday life, but it was really hard for me to think of something like a knit blanket works, but it's kind of flat, But if you could have a knit cube, and maybe you have a knit cube with a bunch of magnets inside of it, and then it was attracting other magnets and they get stuck in the cube.
Yeah.
Kind of. That's how I envisioned it. So as these water, what they called the things that come out of our wounds is called exudate, something like that. But basically, as our wounds are oozing, gross. There's a lot of water in that stuff that's oozing out. There's also a lot of other things too, but water's kind of the main component. So as that water comes out of our wound and towards this hydrocolloid bandage, then the hydrocolloid network is able to attract the water because of its polar bond. So it's pulling the water towards itself. And a lot of times other molecules are going to come along with it. So if you have like dirt and grime, that can also move into the hydrocolloid network. And once it's gotten there, because there's all this cross-linking, trying to get back out and interacting with something else that would pull it back out would be difficult to do.
Okay.
But also, there's nothing on the other side that's going to be more attractive for the water to leave. That's where it just came from.
Right.
So the more that liquid comes out, the more it will be drawn up into the hydrocolloid mass mesh structure.
Yeah.
And then the little crosslinks just hold on to our little water molecules.
Interesting.
For some reason, the visual I have in my mind, which doesn't really make sense, is you know those like ball pit balls? If each of those was a water molecule, and then you're trying to maybe like shove them into one of those mesh bags that would hold it, but the mesh bag has like lots of little compartments, kind of.
Yes. You know what you think of too? As soon as you said the thing about a ball, I immediately thought of. Did you play tennis? Did you ever play tennis?
No, but I sometimes did for fun, but like never seriously.
So they have these like these big metal baskets to hold lots of tennis balls for like an individual for sure, but especially for like a team or practice or whatever. But what's crazy is it's like a cage, right? But the way that they have the holes set up at the bottom is where you can take the basket, and as you're walking around the court, you can go set it down, and obviously the balls have to give to them. They have give enough to them where they go inside. So you just set it down on the ball, and it goes,
and then it picks up and it holds them. That is a great analogy.
It's like perfectly sized, where like it can go in without too much effort. You're not like having to like push it down on top of the balls really hard. Obviously, there's not the like magnetic feel. We're not getting that part in the analogy, but it is exactly that. It goes in, it doesn't really want to come out. Yeah, because it's actually a little bit of that like action to get it in the first place, and then it's just happier. Inside. But as soon as you said the ball thing, I was like, I haven't thought about the tennis balls.
That is a great analogy. I love that. That's a really good example of what it feels like. Great. I'm also looking at.
Aha.
We have a textbook.
Yes.
Here. And on the front is a picture of a polymer. So you can see the repeating units over and over again. So I'm like, yeah, if these have some polar groups on there, you know, a molecule could go right in there and get kind of stuck, but then you gotta imagine it like 3D. So it's not the best.
That's hard though.
I like your analogy better.
It'd be really hard to like draw the 3D thing and still have us have the idea.
Get the dimensions of it and like where the molecules go in. Yeah. So I like your analogy better because it doesn't have the attractive force necessarily, but it does have like, okay, we're going to scoop this up and then we're going to trap it in. But instead of doing that with this, you know, metal basket that's made in this specific way, we're doing that with these cross links of polymers that sort of hold things in place. And I think we've all had like something where it's like, this wasn't that hard to get in here, but why can't I take it out now? You know, there's like things like that you're like
if you get like harpooned.
Oh my God.
Just kidding. That is like a horrible, exactly that though. It's like it intentionally can.
Yeah, it goes in. I was thinking, you know, like a cactus. Sure. A harpoon. Yeah, that happens too.
We all know. We've all been there.
Yeah, definitely.
You know, you're just swimming along and then you got harpoons.
Well, okay, so back to our lesson. I'll let the harpoon just sit there. So this property of hydrocolloid bandages makes it so you get you want some moisture on your wound for it to be able to heal. And actually, I learned this from my mom. She's passed away now, but she did occupational therapy, and she did some wound care, and they used to think that you needed to like let the wound air out.
Yeah.
I'm not an expert in this area, but it seems like now research is coming out that you don't really need to do a lot of that.
That's what my wife says as well, with the kind of abrasions that she sees and stuff like that, where it's like somebody actually literally asked her within our like group of friends, like, am I supposed to let this air out? Is that a thing?
Yeah.
You know? And they're like, why do I think that? And it was like, no, but that actually is pretty common. Like people, for some reason that seems like that would make sense to us, but it's the opposite.
Yeah. So you want a moist environment, for lack of a better word. I know people hate that word, for your wound to heal. So the hydrocolloid bandage has this great ability to protect it from outside impacts. So you're not getting extra bacteria from the outside. You're not getting scratches, like to reopen the wound from the outside. And you're not getting evaporation, trans epidermal water loss, right, of the moisture. So it does a great job of protecting it from the outside.
Okay.
But at the same time, on the inside, it takes the dirt, grime, pus away from being right on it.
Okay.
So that you can kind of, okay, we're moving away some of this stuff that's being kicked out, all these extra white blood cells, whatever is oozing out, but we're keeping a moist environment.
Okay.
So it sort of has the dual ability to do both of those things, creating like the perfect environment for many wounds to heal.
Yeah. Okay.
Now it is sticky all the way across it. So something I had, like if there is like maybe some really fragile skin or something, if you pull it off too early, it could rip some of that.
Right.
So that's something that you could be worried about or aware of with these. And so my friend Katie, actually, I was talking to you about this, said like, okay, so hydrocolloid, so the pimple patches are just hydrocolloid bandages. Mm-hmm. But no. They have a little bit more to them.
Okay.
So both of them have that basic technology. Hydrocolloid bandages are just hydrocolloid.
Okay.
And some pimple patches are just hydrocolloid too.
Okay.
So you can look and see what's in them. But some have really small 3D needles on them, like little microneedles that are treated with active ingredients. Mm-hmm. So they can penetrate down into your skin and add active ingredients like benzoyl peroxide, salicylic acid, other things that might benefit the pimple, which is kind of like a little tiny infected wound on your skin.
Right.
Or they might just have they might not have the little microneedles, but they might just have other things in them, like hyaluronic acid is one I saw a few times. So those pimple patches can have medication, quote unquote, included in them. Uh-huh. So it kind of depends on which one you get. You got to read it and make sure. They can have. I've seen most commonly salicylic acid on there. So.
Okay. Interesting.
Yeah. So the pimple patches do a few more things.
Yeah.
Something I read said they can absorb from 10% or 20% of their body weight, or depending on the mixture of polymers that you have, because it's kind of complicated to choose the right mixture, whatever. They can absorb up to 1,000 or more times their weight.
Wow.
Times their dry weight in water.
Interesting.
Isn't that wild?
Yeah. That kind of reminds me of what we talked about with when we did that chemistry at home experiment with the diaper stuff. Mm-hmm. Where it's it being able to absorb a crazy amount of water. Also polymer, right?
Yes. I think I was going to say this is almost exactly what we learned with diapers, but then I was like, is that boring that you've already learned this lesson?
Well, it's been a while
It's been
ago.
a while, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, until we got this far along, I didn't really make that connection because it's a totally different application of it.
Yeah. And I think it's a different material. I can't remember if I found a satisfying answer for what the polymer in diapers was, but I would be surprised if it wasn't something very similar to this. Mm-hmm. So, yeah.
Man,
Isn't
interesting. Yes.
I was going to have you explain it back to me, but you kind of already did with your tennis analogy.
Yeah, that's I accidentally used just because of the, getting swept up in the moment.
Yeah, you jumped the gun.
You went ahead and used my usual analogy opportunity.
Yeah.
But is there any part of it that I should try to spit back, or should we keep going?
I think because you also said the intermolecular forces. You talked about the polarity interacting. So I feel like you did a lot of the work on this one. So I'll let you off with a pass here.
Nice.
You already demonstrated your knowledge.
Okay.
So
cool.
But I was thinking I like to sometimes end with categories. So do you remember a big sickness that you had as a kid? Because I have a specific story I remember about chicken pox that I can share.
Oh, good question.
Or like a terrible pimple that you're like, this was the worst pimple story or something like that.
Dang, good question.
Thanks.
I don't know if I have a big what's funny, what came to mind for me, isn't applicable, but as soon as you said like a big sickness thing, I remember when I had I had a kidney stone.
Oh.
Not anywhere close to what we're talking about here.
I don't think I realized you had a kidney stone.
Yeah, I was back in high school. It was like, I think my senior year.
That's young.
I know. That's what my doctor said.
Is it because all you ever did was drink Dr. Pepper?
Yep. Yeah, that'll get you.
Dr. Pepper was your drink, right?
Oh, yeah. Yep. And if I get a soda now, if I get a soda now, it is Dr. Pepper. It's Diet Dr. Pepper, but it is Dr. Pepper.
Yeah.
It still has my heart.
Yeah.
That was a big one. I don't know that I got any like significant, like I've had the flu a bunch of times, you know, we've all had COVID, right? I did not have chicken pox as a kid.
Must be nice.
Because of the vaccine. So, but one of the worst times I remember having the flu was I think sophomore year in college. Like it's always been bad, but I remember like that being like one where I'd stand up and almost pass out and stuff like that. Just got like really weak, you know, just not good. And missed a bunch of days of classes and stuff like that. That one's like always stuck out in my mind is like, I kind of use that as a rubric for like, how sick am I? It's recent enough in my life where I remember it, you know?
Yeah.
But yeah, in terms of pimples, it's weird because have had probably like worse acne than maybe the average person has.
Oh, okay.
But not as bad as like, I know how bad it can get, but I feel like my skin in general just likes to keep having pimples, not as bad as I was like a teenager or something. But I don't think I ever got like a really cool one. You know?
One that you're like, I was supposed to do this and it was right on the nose.
Yeah, not that I can remember.
None that stand out.
Nope, because they all stand out.
Oh no!
Stand out
yeah, I get it. They 3D, they stand out.
But
yeah.
But in my like high school days, I remember it being just like a normal part of my life that like, oh, got a pimple in a place that's like visible, and there's not much I can do about it, and it just was like always happening.
Yeah,
seemed like it's like I've got a one that's visually annoying like every other week or something like that. So I am glad that that's not as much the case now, but it still seems like every once in a while my face likes to get one that's like a little bit annoying, a little bit uncomfortable, and like I'll still get ones where I'm like, oh, it's like in the weird part of the nose right here where you're like,
and then it hurts.
It hurts so bad.
Yeah.
So I still get those every once in a while, unfortunately.
I get those every once in a while too. Yeah.
Yeah. How about you?
Well, yeah, definitely getting that shingles on my forehead took me back. I was like, this feels like when you're in high school and you're like, gosh, so embarrassing.
Yeah.
But also my job is to stand up and talk to 220 people every day and they're all just looking at me. So you're like, great. One of my stories I remember with getting the chicken pox, as you know, like my dad came and picked me up from school and I was so itchy and my mom had said like, and you know, have her put on like her Pocahontas pajamas. Okay. And I had Pocahontas pajamas. They were like, it was a matching sweatpants and sweatshirt. And then I remember crying and fighting with my dad because I really didn't want to wear those because they sounded itchy. You know how like sweatshirts are kind of fuzzy, but I did have these like, I had one in pink and one in blue, and they felt so fancy, like satin, like Barbie nightgowns, or maybe they were princess nightgowns or something. And I was like, please let me wear one of those because it will feel so much better.
Yeah.
And he was like, your mom told me to do this. And he called my mom at work, which I'm like, why didn't you just make an executive decision?
Seriously.
but maybe she had given him a specific reason to do that.
Mm-hmm.
And then I was allowed to wear my satin nightgown, and
Nice.
it did feel so much better. But
Yeah.
I wonder if he just thought I was like, well, those are more fun, and that's why I wanted to. But it just, when you're itchy, the material matters a lot.
Totally. Yeah.
And then another one I remember in 6th grade, we were, starting in 7th grade, you have finals.
Mm-hmm.
So before Christmas break, I was going to have finals in 7th grade. So I knew that 6th grade was my last year, that like you just have fun the week before Christmas break. And I got the flu and I missed making a gingerbread house.
Ooh.
And I never ever got to make a gingerbread house then until Mason and I were dating and he got me a kit to make one.
Dang.
So I missed it in 6th grade and never made it up until I was like in my 30s.
Wow. Dang.
Or I guess I was maybe 29.
Uh-huh.
So that was like the last fun week before Christmas break got ruined by the flu.
Yeah.
And every night I would feel better and be like, I'm going to be able to go. And then I would feel really bad the next morning.
Yeah. Dang.
So
Those
are my 6 stories.
That reminds me, this is on topic for sure. It would have been a better story if I thought of it a second ago. There were, I think, 3 out of the 4 years of high school. I got sick like right around or on my birthday. And honestly, I feel like that experience of like not having to go through all of the stuff where people are telling you happy birthday and stuff like that. I think that turned me on toward like, I think I don't really like my birthday. I don't like being sick on my birthday. No one wants to be sick, period.
At all.
Right?
Yeah.
But I think I was like, I don't miss all the stuff that would have had to go on today. Like we would, in the announcements at school, we would announce people's birthdays.
Wow.
Our school was like small enough where you could do that. It didn't take forever. And people would, like in whatever classroom you were in, be like, oh, hey. Well, and then people would say happy birthday and stuff. So I feel like there's something about that stuck in my memory enough where I was like, I got to just not have to do any of that. And then that set me on the trajectory of like, and I could just decide not to forever.
That is a really good piece of, we've been friends for a long time and I've known you don't like your birthday for a long time. And actually I knew it once and I intentionally forgot it as a gift to Jam.
That's when I knew, I was like, wow, Melissa really does care about me. She intentionally forgot a piece of information that I don't want her to know.
Yeah, I just try to respect
and it's also
people's
impressive.
privacy,
Like intentionally forgetting something is hard to do. Like sometimes that can make it more memorable.
I know.
You're like, don't think of an elephant or whatever.
Yeah. Well, I luckily there are things like that. Yeah. But surprisingly, I was like, I'm not writing this down. I'm not going to try to think about this. Like I found it out on accident. I think I know the month, but that's kind of it.
Yeah.
And I don't know like where I have no sense of, where in the month it could be.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, this is none of my business.
And if you're out there, you're thinking this sounds crazy, or if you're thinking that sounds kind of nice, it's you can just opt out of the whole birthday thing.
You really can.
You don't have to do it. If you really don't want to, you don't have to.
See, I opt in hard. I'm the opposite.
Yep.
But hey, your birthday experience should be what you want it to be. And if you want it to be nothing, then that's fine with me.
Yeah. There we go. She's a chemist. I'm not. She's a birthday girl. I'm not.
It's perfect. But that is really interesting to think you being sick is what shaped, like, you're like, wait, no one's bothering me about this. And I could see like it taking the pressure off. Because sometimes when it's your birthday, you get attention not on your own terms.
Yeah. Oh, for sure. And I would bet that eventually I would have found my way anyway.
Yeah.
But it might have helped that along.
Yeah. Set you on the path. Like, hey, this is even an option.
Yeah. Because I remember, I think by my freshman year of college, that was much more firm. I was like, all these people I'm meeting in a new season of my life, I don't even have to tell them.
Nope.
They don't have to know.
Yeah.
And yeah, pretty cool.
Yeah, that's wild.
All connected to being sick.
I think the opposite of that is my birthday's on spring break usually. And so I got used to like just being able to do fun stuff on my birthday.
Yeah, that's true.
It's like everybody loves spring break.
Totally.
And my birthday is on spring break. And so like if I have to work on my birthday now, I'm like, what? you're not supposed to work on your birthday.
Yeah.
Like I just got used to being it is hard though when you're younger because on spring break, everyone's out of town. So nobody comes to your party.
Right. That's what I was thinking you're going to say first. But the flip side of that is you're getting to do cool stuff.
Yeah.
And your birthday didn't have to be a regular school day.
Yep.
So you got to.
So it felt sparkly.
Yeah. That's cool.
So I still try to make it sparkly.
It's cool that you are still in a school calendar situation.
Yep.
Even though it's a little different being on the like actual, the lecturing side.
Yeah.
But that's still something.
Dude, I had that thought last year. This has been hard adjusting as a faculty member, but I was like, I'll get Christmas break for the rest of my life.
Mm-hmm.
Like, if I stay in this job, I'll always get to look forward to that feeling. Like, Mason doesn't get to look for. I mean, he gets like he'll take time off. He gets, a little bit, but it's like, no, I get to wrap up a semester, be done, and then enjoy time off.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm really excited.
That's
I love
incredible.
that. It's like a little reset. I like realizing that I picked a job where I would always have that was very exciting for me.
That's cool.
So, yeah. All right. Well, this is a little bit of a tangent, but I enjoyed this little category.
Yeah. Thank y'all, whoever hung out for this tangent category time. We're glad you're with us. We used to do like a fun thing from our week, and it would sometimes turn into very, very long.
Yeah.
So a lot of that kind of stuff is relegated toward our community bonus episodes. So if you ever want to check one of those out, you can join our super cool chem community on Patreon.
You can get them on Apple Podcasts too,
and
right?
on Apple Podcasts, there's like the other way of doing it. So yeah. But thanks for teaching us about pimple patches and hydrocolloid, you said?
Hydrocolloid. If you want to see one in action, you can check out.
Yep.
Check out the last video. Zoom really close in on the area I'm most insecure about and see if you can tell there's a Band-Aid there.
I bet it'll be pretty hard. I didn't try doing that when I was doing the like editing to see, but I think I told you I would tell you if it was really noticeable.
Yeah.
It didn't even occur to me once I was editing it.
Yeah.
So I would be surprised if someone notices, but
there are some things this next generation has normalized that I'm very impressed by. and that is one of them. I'm like, they're just all out here wearing pimple patches. That's way better than looking at the pimple.
It's such a good point. Yeah, I don't know what we were doing, why they're so far ahead of us in that way.
Yeah. Anyway.
Yeah.
So you're welcome. Thanks for learning about it.
And if you have a question, idea, thought, follow up, whatever, about anything, let us know on chemforyourlife.com. That's chemforyourlife.com. Share your thoughts and ideas with us. If you'd like to help us keep our show going and contribute to cover the cost of making it, like Justine, who joined our community, you too can join our super cool chem community of patrons on patreon.com/chemforyourlife. Patreon.com/chemforyourlife. There's a few different tiers there of ways of you contributing and different ways for us to say thank you. Like I said, you get a bonus episode of the show every single month. You get an ad-free feed of the show over there. And you get a few different things. And in general, we are grateful for you helping keep the show going. We couldn't do it without our patrons and our community. We could, the show would not be able to keep going. Yeah. And
I think we definitely would be done by now if it wasn't for that.
Yeah. So, and not keeping it free for everybody. So, but if you're not able to do that on our Patreon, you can still help the show by subscribing on our favorite podcast app, rating, writing, review on Apple Podcasts or Spotify, subscribing on YouTube, leaving a comment over there, going to chemforyourlife.com/store and buying some merch, a hat. That's all we're wearing right now. No other merch on us at the moment, but there's a bunch of stuff over there. One-time ways of you supporting the show and keeping it going, and you get something cool out of it. So why not?
And we always, because our community means so much to us and you all have played such a huge role, we like to give you a shout out every single week and thank you, because these episodes really wouldn't be happening without that kind of support. And so Justine, what up? Welcome to this list. But we also would like to thank Hunter, Chris, Claire, Stephen, Tim, Katrina, Scott, Vince, Kyle, Brian, Latila, Rachel, Elizabeth, John, Jesse, Doreen, Chelsea, Heather, Ash, Emily, Avishai, Chelsea, Christina, Jacob, Venus, Suzanne, Erica, Cullen, Jeanette, Sierra, Autoclave, Julie, and Emily. Thank you guys so much for everything you do to make this show happen. And if you want to learn more about anything we talked about, the resources and notes that I used will be linked in our show note on our website or in the description under the video. Is that everything?
That's everything.
I always worry I took that part over without asking you.
Yay, chemistry.
Yay, chemistry. And yay, hydrocolloid bandages.
Nice.